Chapter 1. The Corpse That Spoke in Silence. You never get used to a dead man with his eyes wide open, especially not when they're still shining with something fear, maybe, or guilt. The Italian nobleman sat stiff-backed in his chair, like a grotesque puppet abandoned mid-sentence. A half-drunk glass of Chianti trembling on the edge of his desk. You'd been called here on a whisper and a suspicion. And what you found wasn't just a corpse. It was the first crack in a polished world about to shatter. Doctor! Hawker was already pacing, a cigarette trembling between his fingers, the smoke spiraling up like a question mark no one dared ask. I was too late, he stammered. He phoned. Said he was being murdered. You narrowed your eyes. People don't usually manage phone calls after death. Silence. A thick, accused thing. You can hear the city humming far below. Blind to the body cooling in this silk-draped prison. No struggle. No weapons in sight. Just the nobleman's still fingers curled around the armrest, and a paperweight stained with something darker than ink lying too neatly by his elbow. You moved slowly, eyes scanning the room like a surgeon reading an X-ray of secrets. The decor was a mirror of the man's reputation, rich, traditional, and hiding too much. Then you saw it, a torn photograph in the ashtray. A woman, half burned. The flame had licked away her eyes, leaving only the shape of a smile that didn't quite reach the edges. You leaned closer. The air smelled of tobacco, cologne, and something sharp beneath, metal, or maybe revenge. Get the police. You told Hawker, but tell them to wait outside. I want 10 minutes alone. 10 minutes to dig through the lies. 10 minutes before the storm came in. You didn't know it yet, but you'd just stepped into a game where the pieces didn't know they were being moved, and some of them would rather die than tell the truth. And one already had. Chapter 2. The smile in the ashtray. You sit down in the dead man's chair. It creaks beneath you, like it remembers his weight. And for a second, you think you hear him exhale. But it's just the wind curling through the window he forgot to shut. Or maybe someone else left it open. Someone who didn't want to be seen leaving. You pick up the photograph. The woman's face is only half there. But the smile, how that smile survives. Wide, practiced, elegant. Not warm. It's the kind of smile you wear when you know a camera is watching. Or when you're lying. Her hair's pinned in waves. Her neckline is low. Her necklace is subtle but expensive. She's not the kind who gets left behind easily, and not the kind who forgets being left either. On the back of the photograph, barely visible through the char, there's handwriting in a rushing, foreign script. You hold it to the light by Sempre G. The G is underlined twice. Dr. Hawker watches from the corner, his nerves twitching like a rabbit that knows a fox is nearby. He opens his mouth like he wants to say something, then closes it again, choosing cowardice over confession. Who's the woman, you ask? He shrugged, too quickly. I've no idea. Probably. Someone from Rome. He entertains often. You watch his eyes. They go everywhere but the photograph. You're lying, you say flatly. His breath catches, a fraction of a second too late. Look, I was his physician, not his biographer. And yet, you were here within minutes of his call. I live nearby. You stand, move past him, walk toward the liquor cabinet. Not for a drink, though God knows this case is already screaming for one, But for the tiny lockbox tucked behind the bottles, it's unlocked. Inside, letters. Dozens, all signed Gabriella. A few in English, most in Italian. Some angry, some pleading. All desperate. You flip through until one makes your pulse spike. I won't be hidden any longer. You promised. If you think you can silence me like you did to Armando, think again. Gee, Armando, you murmured. The name hangs in the room like smoke. You turn to Hawker. Do you know an Armando? He pales. There was a cousin, a falling out, years ago. You ever wonder why cousins fall out and one ends up in a graveyard while the other buys new suits? He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. You already know. And that's when you hear it, a phone ringing in the next room. You both freeze. You move quickly. Step into the study. The line is still connected. The blinking light on the phone says last call received 11:02 p.m. The exact time the nobleman died. You hit redial. It rings once, twice, then a voice answers. Female. Low. Smooth. Dangerous. You're a little late, she said. Then the line goes dead. You stare at the receiver like it might grow teeth. The silence afterward is louder than her voice. You were right. This wasn't just a murder. It was a promise and a warning. And somewhere out there, a woman with a half-burned smile is waiting for you to find her. She's not hiding. She's hunting. Chapter 3. The Woman in the Mirror. You don't sleep. Sleep is a luxury for the innocent or the damned, and you're somewhere in between. By the time dawn smears across the sky, you've read every one of Gabriella's letters. They chart a slow descent from longing to obsession, from affection to fury, the kind of rage only love stolen can birth. You call in a favor old friend in the Carabinieri, still owes you for that business in Milan. In under an hour, you've got a full name, Gabriella Donati, former opera singer, wealthy family, disgraced when scandal touched her brother's financial empire. She disappeared from the public eye 2 years ago, around the same time Armando Fabri, the nobleman's cousin, accidentally drowned off the coast of Capri. You trace the letters back to their return address, Villa d'Oro, a crumbling estate outside Naples, abandoned now, but something tells you it's not as empty as it seems. You drive out. The villa rises like a ghost through olive groves and sunburned stone. The gate's unlocked. The air smells of dust and citrus rot. Inside, the walls still wear velvet wallpaper, like a fading mistress clings to perfume. And in the main hall, on the mantel, stands a photo, the same smile from the half-burned picture. But here, the woman is full, radiant, and in the reflection of the mirror behind her, stands the man now cold in a Roman apartment. He wasn't hiding her. He was living with her. And then he wasn't. You hear a creak upstairs. You draw your weapon. Slowly, quietly. You climb. At the top of the stairs, the door to the master bedroom is ajar. It moves slightly with the wind or something else. You push it open, and there she is, Gabriella Donati, in the flesh, wrapped in a silk robe the color of blood, too old to scream. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't reach for a weapon. She just smiles that same haunting smile and says, I wondered when you'd find me. They always do. You say nothing. Just watch her. Catalog every movement, every blink, every calculated breath. You think I killed him? She asks. tilting her head like a bird sizing up a crumb. Did you ask? She walks to the dresser, opens a drawer, pulls out a pair of gloves. I didn't have to. He was already dead inside. I simply reminded him of what? Her eyes flash like cut glass. That I'm not to be used or erased. There's silence. Shit. Then she tosses you something, a cigarette case. Heavy, ornate, inside a single earring. Smeared faintly with blood. Not his, she said, not mine. Armando's. The one thing they didn't find. Your heart slows. Why keep it? She steps closer. The room shrinks. To remember what power feels like. You pocket the earring. Your badge may not mean much in this country, but truth, real truth, always demands something. She walks past you. No need to arrest me, she said. You'll find the next body soon. What body? She pauses. Hawker's. You bolt for the stairs, but the front door is already swinging in the breeze. She's gone, and the war she started was just beginning. Chapter 4. A body beneath the cypresses. You get the call less than 2 hours later. A hiker stumbled on it, or rather, his dog did, half buried under dry leaves in the woods behind the American Embassy compound. The local police sealed off the scene, but you flash your credentials, and they step aside. You're not one of them, but they know your reputation. The body lies awkwardly, as if it was dropped mid-fall, or posed. Hawker, face pale, throat torn. Not clean, not quick. This was personal and theatrical. A harlequin mask, broken in half, rests beside the corpse. One eye socket smeared with blood. A message. One only you will understand. Because Gabriella is playing a different game now. Oh, you check his wrists. Rope burns. Signs of restraint. He suffered, and she made sure you'd see that. You find something else beneath him, a torn page. Looks like it came from a journal or sketchbook. Written in Italian. Smeared, but legible. Confession is not a choice. It is a weapon in the hands of the wrong lover. And I've loved far too well. Back at your apartment. You pin the mask to the corkboard. Next to the photo of Gabriella and the nobleman. Next to Armando's article. You draw the threads. 3 men, 3 lovers, 3 corpses, and 1 woman who disappeared between them. Orchestrated it all like a composer building a crescendo, but something doesn't sit right. You dig deeper into Hawker. The files you pulled were incomplete, his past scrubbed, clean, like a wiped slate. But you find traces, a reference to a case in Budapest, another in Lyon, blackmail, surveillance, state secrets. Hawker wasn't just an embassy attaché. He was an observer. And Gabriella, she knew. You stare at your reflection in the window. Rome breathes outside, hot, ancient, indifferent. Then your burner phone rings. Blocked number. You answer. A woman's voice. Calm. Family. You looked in the wrong drawer. Click. That's it. But it's enough. You return to the villa. Night cloaks it now. The crickets scream warnings. You head straight to the bedroom. You open the dresser again. Second drawer this time. Inside, a gun wrapped in silk. But more than that, a black book. Thin. Pages filled with names and dates. Every man she loves. Every man she broke. and one name circled over and over again. Yours? You sit down on the edge of the bed because now it's clear. You weren't the hunter. You were the finale. Chapter 5. The finale. She chose. You don't sleep that night, Kitita. You sit there, book in hand, fingers tracing the loops of your name scrawled over and over, like a curse or a love spell, you're not sure which. The pages are a timeline of seduction and destruction. Men cataloged like exhibitions, victims, witnesses, tools, and always a final note beside each one. He told the truth. He tried to save me. He asked the wrong question. Next to your name, she wrote nothing. That emptiness speaks louder than all the others. You step into the bathroom, splash water on your face. Look in the mirror. How long have you been chasing Gabriella? Since Prague. Since the train station in Vienna, where she left without a word. Or since the day she pressed a photo into your hand, a man with a red carnation and a false passport, and whispered, "Follow him, not me." Even then, you were already hers. Your phone buzzes. No number, just coordinates. A place outside the city. A chapel. No explanation, but you know it's her. She's pulling you forward now. No more corpses between you. No more riddles. This is the end she wrote for you, or the one you'll choose for yourself. You take the gun, not because you plan to use it, because Gabriella would expect nothing less. The chapel is older than the city around it. A ruin among ruins. Cypresses whisper overhead as you approach. Moonlight paints the broken stone like bone. Inside, candles burn low. She sits at the altar in a red dress, the same dress she wore the night you first met. You came, she says. You say nothing. She doesn't move. I wondered, she continued, if you'd find the book, if you'd read it and understand what this was, what we were, what we became. You take a step closer. 3 men died. You said, she tilts her head. 3 men who wanted things they shouldn't have. And me. She smiles sad, tired. You never wanted anything. She stands, steps down the altar, steps like a confession. Then she places something in your hand. Yes, I sent it. A cassette tape, labeled only with a date, March 5th, 1999. The day your brother disappeared. Your blood turns to stone. You thought this was about me, she said, but it was always about you. I just helped you see it. She turns her back, walks toward the chapel doors. You could stop her, raise the gun, call the police, but you don't, because now you need to know. Now the case is yours, and you're no longer the detective. You're the motive. Chapter 6. The tape that lied like truth. You sit in your car, the chapel behind you like a memory you're already doubting. The cassette is heavy in your coat pocket, heavier than any evidence you've ever carried. You don't drive. You just sit there, with the engine humming like a held breath. March 5th, 1990. The day your brother disappeared without a trace, you remember your mother on the phone. The trembling in her voice. The silence afterward fills your childhood like fog. And now this tape, from Gabriella. From her hands to yours, like she knew exactly what vein to cut open. You don't go home. You drive to the only place that still has an old cassette deck. The basement archive room of the precinct. The keys still work. You keep them. Against protocol, against logic. just in case something like this ever happened. You slide the tape in. The hiss of blank space. Then a voice. Not your brothers. A man, confident, British, educated, target secured. Subject 4, relocated to Phase 2 facility. No further family contact expected. The sister has been neutralized. The boy shows promise. The tape crackles. Stop. You rewind, play again. The same voice, the same calm cruelty. You never had a sister. You were an only child, weren't you? No, that's not right. Your hand trembles, like the memories shift, like a photograph being peeled back to reveal something underneath. A girl's laughter, a twin bed, a name on the wall. Clara. You never spoke of her. No one ever did. Not after she died. And or disappeared, or was neutralized. You stumble out into the rain like someone hit you. The city is cold, empty, alien. You walk without knowing where. Just forward. Away from the sound of the tape and toward the next lie. You reach Gabriella's apartment, break the lock. She's gone. Of course she is. But the smell of jasmine still clings to the walls. She left in a hurry. On the kitchen counter, an envelope. Inside, a photograph. A man in a lab coat. A girl in a hospital bed. Your brother, and you younger. Angry, scared, in the corner. Written in Gabriella's handwriting. You were never the detective. You were the experiment. And underneath, come find me when you're ready to know who you are. You stare at the photo, and for the first time in years, you cry. Not because you're afraid, but because you realize Gabriella didn't betray you. She freed you from the story they wrote for you, from the life you thought was yours, from the detective you pretended to be. Chapter 7, where the dead remember differently. You drive west, chasing the edge of a memory. EMS. The tape replays in your head with every turn. Subject 4. The sister has been neutralized. It loops like a nursery rhyme twisted into something surgical. You no longer trust your memories. Not of your childhood, not of your brother, not even of yourself. The road stretches through old industrial parks and decaying towns. Gabriella's handwriting leads you here, coordinates scrawled on the back of the photo. No names, just numbers, and a warning. You'll know it when you feel it. You do. The compound sits behind a forgotten forest, half buried in ivy and government silence. Concrete walls, long cracks like veins. A blackbird watches you from a telephone wire, its head tilting like it knows something you don't. You break in through the service tunnel rusted hatch, forgotten codes, and an emergency flashlight that flickers like it's reminding too. The hall smells like old iodine and older secrets. Faded signs still line the walls. Phase 2. Observation. Neuropsych Depti, Sub J4 access restricted. Your fingers trace the peeling paint. Sub J4. You, a room at the end of the hall. Walls padded not for safety, but for sound. You step in and flick the light. It stutters on. A two-way mirror. A metal chair bolted to the floor. And on the chair, a file. Your name on the cover. Inside, dozens of pages, scans, transcripts, chemical charts. But one part stops your breath cold. Date, June 18th, 1999. Observer, Julian Marrow. Note, Subject 4. Exhibiting successful memory alignment. Event perception now includes false sibling female and fictionalized trauma. Neurolinguistic anchor stability. Next review, March 5th, 2024. They rewrote their life. They gave you Clara. They took your brother. You sit. The weight of it presses into your chest like a final judgment. Every case you ever solved, every instinct you trusted, all of it filtered through a synthetic trauma. You weren't a detective. You were an algorithm in a trench coat, a sound behind the mirror. You stand slowly, heart pounding. The mirror is darker now, less a reflection, more a portal. You press your palm to the glass, and someone presses back, your brother, alive, staring at you with eyes that remember everything you forgot. You whispered his name. He mouths yours. Kadura. Then a voice over the intercom, calm, clinical. Detective, you've returned to the beginning. The final trial can commence. Shall we test what remains of you? Your brother pounds the glass, not in fear, but in warning. You back away, and behind you, the door clicks shut. Chapter 8. The lie that walks like truth. The lock engagements behind you, a mechanical groan, like the throat of something ancient sealing shut. You turn, fingers grazing the smooth metal. No handles, no panels. Just you and the echo of your breath thickening in the stale air. The voice returns, colder now. Test parameters aligned. Identity fragmentation 89%. Emotional tether frayed. Subject 4. Initiate sequence recall. A sharp whine fills your head. Then images, not memories. Programming. Sashin. A girl in a red coat running through autumn leaves. Your hand stained with blood that wasn't yours. A lullaby sung in a language you never spoke. A fire, a body, a courtroom, a lie you were forced to believe so often. You mistook it for grief. You collapse to your knees. The floor pulses faintly beneath you, biometric feedback, alive and observing. And then the wall shuts. A seam splits open. Another room. A copy of your apartment perfect. Down to the chipped mug on the desk and the records stacked by the window. But here, the records are blank. The coffee is cold. The mirror in the bathroom reflects a version of you, a half-second behind. Your voice doesn't echo. This place is built to feel like safety, but it's just another box. You walk to the center and speak aloud. Why show me this? Silence. Then a whisper. To see what you cling to when nothing is left. The door behind the mirror opens. You step through and find him. Your brother, older than you remember, but familiar in ways that bypass logic. He's strapped to a chair, wires webbing from his skull to a screen. He sees you, whispers, "They made me remember your death." You choke. He continues, "They made me believe I killed you." You rush forward, but a low pulse hums from the walls. You're frozen. Not by force, by fear. Because in that moment, a second version of you steps into the room. Identical. Same scars. Same gait. But he looks at your brother and says, "It's all right. We're going home." Your brother jerks, confused. Which one of you? The fake smiles, and the screen flashes. Your name, your case files, your face, blinking over dozens of surveillance logs. Subject 4. Duplicate stable. Merge commencement pending. They didn't just rewrite your memories. They replicated you. Now, you face a final choice. Expose them. Trigger the failsafe hidden in the file you read, but risk your brother's mind disintegrating under the trauma of dual realities. Rescue him, pull the wires, run, but let the program continue. Your duplicates walking free, rewriting new victims. The fake you steps closer, smile like you never could. So, what would it be? Detective, Chapter 9. One truth. Two graves. You've faced impossible choices before when the case feels like a straight line with a corpse at the end. But this isn't justice. This was a test in the dark, and you're the one who found the trigger. Your brother's eyes flick from you to the replica. He doesn't scream, doesn't beg, just watches calm, like he's seen too much already. Maybe he has. Maybe you have too. The replica circles, every motion smooth, uncanny. You hate how precise it is, like looking into a mirror that understands you better than you ever did. You've done enough damage. You said it smirks. You haven't seen damage yet. Your brother groans, head twitching as the wires tighten their hold. The screen above him flashes again. Childhood birthdays. Your mother's face. Your apartment after the fire. Someone, no, something has stitched a false life from real pain. Your hand finds the edge of the terminal. One button, labeled in red sequence override. Below it, smaller text etched into the console. Override triggers memory collapse. Subject data will be unrecoverable. You look at your brother. He's mouthing words. You lean in. Pull the plug, or none of us get out. You hesitate. One path. You hit the override. Wipe the machine. Save him from the storm in his head. But everything lost no evidence. No names. No closure. The machine burns your truth with it. The other. You pull the wires. Take him. Flee. Expose the lab. But you keep the copy alive. A version of yourself that already knows how to kill better than you do. The fake you leans in now, whispering, "Make your move. Just remember, I've already made mine." It points behind you. You spin. Too late. The room's changed again. 3 replicas now, and only one of you remembers the real beginning. Your brothers scream, not from pain, but clarity. They've nested the timeline. Every action's a test. You're not out. You're inside a larger loop. Your heart stutters. This isn't just about identity theft. It's about erasing the concept of truth itself. You die for the terminal. The fakes charge. One of them screams your voice, your fear, your rage. You hit the button. A light detonates behind your eyes. When you wake, it's raining. Concrete under your cheek. Sirens in the distance. You're outside. Somehow, but your brother's gone. And across the street, someone watches. Dressed like you. Built like you. They raise a hand not to wave, but to mirror your movement exactly. Then they vanish. Your phone buzzes. A new case file. Victim yourself. Suspect yourself. Chapter 10. The echo bleeds back. You don't remember walking home. You don't even remember where home is anymore. But your key still fits the lock. Inside, nothing's been touched. Not the half-empty whiskey bottle. Not the folders from your last case. Not the broken photo frame with your mother's face splintered down the middle. You should feel safe here, but the walls breathe like they're listening. And then a knock. Not loud, not urgent, just polite. You freeze. You already know who it is. You open the door. It's you. This time older. Grayer. Weathered. A line of scar tissue runs from temple to collar. You see years in his stance. Regret, too. But also something else. Control. You erase the prototype. He says, "You don't respond, but you didn't destroy the source." He steps inside like he owns the place, like you used to. His eyes scan the room, not for weapons, for traces of the life you once had. They didn't just copy you. He continued. They planted seeds across cities, cases, people. You're not hunting a killer. You're hunting an infection. You reach for your gun, but it's not there. He already has it. "I'm not here to kill you," he said. "I'm here to remind you what you were built for." You laugh. "You have to." "I wasn't built. I was born." He hands you a file. Inside photos. Surveillance. 8 different cities. 8 different crime scenes. And at each one, your face. Some older, some younger, some smiling. One looking directly into the camera, mid-stab. You flip to the last page. A list, coordinates, and a final name. Target 0, Marion Delacroix. You froze. That name hasn't crossed your lips in years. "She's alive," you whisper. He nods. Barely. She remembers the original code, the truth, the real trigger. You shake your head. She died. In Berlin. Fire. No, that was your memory. Someone else's loop. They've rewritten your grief a dozen times. He takes something from his coat. A steel-cased pill. "Take this, and your next memory will be clean. One life, one purpose." You hesitate, and if I don't, you'll separate again. You won't know what's real. You'll kill the wrong version of yourself. And when it's over, no one will remember which you mattered. You stare at the pill, truth or survival, choice or programming. Then the sirens returned. Louder this time, not outside, inside. Your phone flashes. A live stream. Someone's broken into a morgue. Your brother's body. Isn't there? The camera pans. And there, standing under the flickering light, is a boy no older than 10. He looks like you, but his eyes are Marion's. "It's starting again," says the older you. And you realize the war never ends. It just changed its face. Chapter 11. A mirror with eyes. You don't remember driving. The city slips past your windows like it's ashamed to be seen. Somewhere between the flickering streetlights and the rising paranoia, your hand clenches the file. Hard. The coordinates lead to a derelict greenhouse on the outskirts of the city, the kind of place where things either grow wild or rot slowly. You know what you're hoping for. Inside, the air is damp, earthly, but beneath it, a scent you know too well, decay. And blood. You find the boy first. He's standing by a basin filled with water, staring down at his reflection. His hands are slick with something dark, but his eyes are Marion's. Not frightened, not angry. Curious. "What's your name?" you ask. Carefully. He doesn't look up. "They called me Subject 0B. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," he whispered. "But not which you." A chill climbs your spine. "I've seen 6 of you." He continued. 2 screamed. 1 burned. 1 begged. 1 smiled before he bled out. You're still writing. He finally turns to face you, and that's when you see it, the scar. Faint, but unmistakable. Running down the side of his face. Marion said it was so I wouldn't forget. Forget what? He walks past you and points to the far wall. Something's drawn there in marker loops and loops of circles. Spirals. Numbers. Words. A timeline in collapse. In the center, a name. Harrow. He's still alive, the boy says. The original architect. The one who cracked the recursion code. They thought they shut him down, but he just changed form. You swallow. Hard. Harrow. The name that started the chain. The scientist who didn't die in the fire, but disappeared. The one who rewired grief into software. You look again at the wall. Each point of data, each incident, it's not a map, it's a trap. A pattern of reemergence. You've been walking straight into it. The boy steps closer. He pressed a hand to your chest. You think you're the last version of yourself. You're not. You look down. Your heart's beating faster than it should. Out of sync. A small scar on your wrist. You don't remember getting itches now beneath it. Something pulses faintly. A node, a trigger. They rebuilt you, too. Your memories, your guilt, your mission. All parts of the loop, eh? Suddenly, the greenhouse shatters with sound. A spotlight floods in from above. Rotor blades slice the air. A voice booms through the speakers. Yeesh. It was Return the asset. Terminate the unstable code. You grab the boy's hand. Are you unstable, you ask? He shrugs. Aren't you? And then you run. Through the vines, the glass, the light. Behind you, fire starts eating the past again. But this time, you're not running from yourself. You're running with the last piece of you that matters. Chapter 12. The loop beneath the skin. The metro tunnels are dead. No trains, no announcements. Just echoing silence and the hum of old systems dreaming in rust. You lead the boy down the tracks. Flashlight beam trembling against cracked tiles and water-stained murals. Every 10 steps. You check behind you. Every 20. He checks ahead. Where are we going, he asks. You lie. Someplace safe. Because if you told him the truth, that you're headed to Sub-Delta 3, the original site of Harrow's failover lab, he might ask what else you've been hiding. And the answer to that isn't in words. It's in the scar on your wrist. It's in the dreams you don't remember waking from. It's in the fact that the closer you get to the lab, the more your pulse sinks with the hum of something you buried years ago. You reach the gate half rusted, half torn open. Inside, the lab looks fossilized. Desks overturned. Consoles blinking nonsense. Glass tanks shattered and dried. But one thing remains intact. A mirror, standing in the center of the room. No dust, no cracks. Just cold. Perfect reflection. You approach. The boy at your side. That's not a mirror, he says, backing away. You know he's right, but you touch it anyway, and it breathes. The surface ripples like mercury. Your reflection disappears, replaced by her, Marion. But not the Marion. You remember the one with warmth behind her eyes and tremors in her hands. No, this Marion is still and watching. Version 7, she says. I expected you 3 hours ago. Your voice fails. The boy steps forward. Why do you look like her? Because she gave me permission. The mirror shifts. Behind her, the lab looks pristine. Lit. Operational. People move. Machines hum. Harrow stands in the background, writing equations on glass. Alive! This is Loop Zero, Marion explained. Where it all began. Where he began rewriting the endings. He's dead, you whisper. No, she corrected. He's recursive. Your scar burns. Your memories twist. You're not real. You said, she smiles. Neither are you. And the boy screams. You spin. He's convulsing. Hand pressed to his temple. He's sinking. Marion says. Too fast. You dragged him into the loop unprepared. You step forward, fists clenched. Help him. But Marion just watches. I am helping. You just don't know what kind of story you're in. You reach for your sidearm. The mirror shatters. The lab goes dark. You catch the boy before he hits the ground. His breathing is shallow, pulse erratic. And then, from the shadows, a voice neither of you know says, the mirror showed you the truth, but you haven't seen the door yet. You raise your light. There's a figure, wearing your face, but smiling, like someone who's never had guilt stitched into their code. Chapter 13, The Other You. The figure steps forward. Boots silent against the shattered tiles. He's taller, straighter. The scar on his wrist is gone. You raise your light higher, and he doesn't flinch. Who are you? You ask. The version that didn't hesitate, he replied. His voice is yours. Minus the fatigue, the guilt, the broken edges time filed into your soul. The boy stirs in your arms. Groaning, you kneel. Check his pulse. It's weaker now, like he's slipping. He doesn't belong here. Your double says, not yet, not until you finish what I started. I didn't start this. You growl. Harrow did. He laughs. A sound colder than anything in the tunnels. Harrow gave us the framework. But we built the loop. You and me. Every choice we made. It echoed, reinforced, carved the path. You stare at him. He's unarmed. But you know better. He doesn't need a weapon. He is one. What's beyond the door, you ask? Freedom, he answered. But not for you. You shift your weight, modified, checking for footing. He notices. You think you can win. I think I can survive. You say. The lights flicker overhead. Fluorescents briefly sputter to life. Illuminating fragments of what was once a functioning failover hub. Servers half merged into the walls. Human-sized memory cores still faintly pulsing. The boy whispers something. You lean closer. Don't trust you, he murmured. Eyes shut tight. You glanced up, but the other you is already moving. You roll, shielding the boy, and the echo of your movement shatters into white light as he lunges. You're faster because you remember what it's like to be hunted. You catch his arm, twist, slam his face into the glass console. He laughs, spitting blood. We're the same. No, you say. I learned I... You reach for the override panel behind you, fingers flying across keys, code scrolls. He saw it too late. You're purging the loop, he hisses. You can't. He'll come back. He always does. You don't answer. You just press enter. The lab trembles. A low-frequency tone begins pulsing through the ground. The loop is collapsing. Behind you, the mirror is reforming not glass now, but liquid heat. Your reflection no longer shows a soldier. It shows someone afraid and ready. Get him out, you say. Marion's voice returns. Distant now. There's a cost. Take it from me. The boy vanishes. And the world fractures. You're left alone. The other you stares at you, fading pixel by pixel. You're not free, he says. You just forgot your cage. Then I'll remember differently next time. You whisper, and the light eats everything. Chapter 14. The scar that shouldn't be there. The boy wakes up to fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. He blinks. Once. Twice. The ceiling isn't cracked stone anymore. It's acoustic tiles stained with time. The air smells of antiseptic, and the beeping of monitors clicks off his heartbeat like a metronome left too long in the dark. A nurse notices the movement, rushes to his side. But it's not her hands he feels first, it's the ache in his chest. A scar. Long. Thin. Surgical. He doesn't remember it. He shouldn't have it. Where am I? His voice trembles. St. Halberd's Infirmary. She said gently, "You were found just outside the old metro tunnels. Hypothermic. You've been out for days." Days. He pushes himself upright too fast. Dizziness spins the room like an unhinged carousel. But the question forces itself out. Where is he? The nurse hesitates, looks down. They brought only you in. He swallows, throat dry, head screaming. They said only him. But he wasn't alone down there. Not at the end. He touches the scar again. There's a whisper in his head. Not words. A sensation. A memory that isn't his. Stone. Code. Sacrifice. He sees a face, his, but older, tired, broken, kind. Then it's gone. Crosstown. In a forgotten government building sealed by concrete and denial. A flicker returns to life. Behind a service panel. A hidden server rack, dead for years, blinks once. Boots up, inside. A fragment of code breathes for the first time since the purge. It's labeled Project Mimir, Cognitive Replica, UV108B, and somewhere deep in the subroutines. If then, condition met. Mirror loop restart enabled. Back in the hospital, the boy sits on the edge of his bed, tracing the scar again. He asks the nurse for a mirror. She hesitates, but hands him a small handheld one. He lifts it slowly. His face looks the same, but behind his eyes, just for a flash, he sees someone else looking back. Then the lights flickered. A low hum vibrates through the room, like something waking up beneath the skin of the world. He grips the mirror tighter. This isn't over, is it? He whispers to no one. But the mirror answers anyway, with a ripple across its surface that shouldn't be possible in glass. Chapter 15. The Woman Who Remembered Too Much. You hear the footsteps before you see her. Tap, tap, tap. Measured, certain. Like she's walked this hallway 1,000 times before, even though the security logs say the building's been sealed for years. But security logs lie. People lie. Loops never do. They repeat until someone breaks the rhythm. You watch from behind the terminal as she enters. Silver hair tied back in a knot. Black gloves. One eye dull blue, the other a sleek chrome sphere, whirring faintly as it scans the room. She moves with the precision of someone who once killed without hesitation, and now lives with the hesitation permanently welded to her spine. She doesn't look surprised to see you. You're earlier than expected, she says, and you're not dead, you replied, because the file said she was expired during the incident. Autopsy signed by a doctor who didn't exist. She smiles faintly. That smile is a weapon. Official death is the only way to live long enough to clean up your own mistakes. You know who she is? Dr. Eleanor Vale. Former architect of loop suppression programs. Once called the loop eulogist. The one who saw time fracture and tried to duct tape it back together using neural code and synthetic guilt. I'm not part of your loop, you say. She walks past the broken server racks and brushes away dust that's already begun to reassemble itself, like even the particles are trying to return to their original pattern. Not yet, she said, but you're close. You gesture at the blinking console behind her. Mimir's back online. Someone brought it back. She raises her gloved hands. A tiny spider-like drone unfolds from her wrist. skitters across the wall, and plugs into a hidden jack. The screen behind her flickers. A file opens, Mimir, access log, V1.08b. There's a name at the bottom of the log. One you've seen before. One that shouldn't exist. Reinstated by you. Your breath catches. I didn't. She interrupted gently. You will? Later. As you stand outside the decaying archive vault, she tells you a story. In the first loop, she says, you weren't the survivor. You were the engineer. You built Mimir to help a dying boy remember who he was. But the loop broke. No, she corrected. You broke it by caring too much. That's the flaw in all closed systems. They forget that emotions are variables too. You don't know whether to believe her, because if she's right, then none of this starts with Mimir. It started with you, back in the hospital. The boy with the scar has disappeared. The bed is still warm. The nurse swears he never leaves. But there's a crack in the mirror on the bedside table. It's shaped like a question mark. Chapter 16. The scar that wasn't there before. You return to the hospital, but something's wrong. The scent of antiseptic is sharper than before. The floor tiles gleam with an unnatural polish, as if someone scrubbed away reality and replaced it with memory. The receptionist doesn't look up. Neither does the janitor. Their faces blur at the edges, like unfinished renderings in a simulation that's trying too hard to pass as real. You head to room 319. The boy isn't there. No sheets, no monitors. Just a metal-framed bed, stripped bare, and a single item resting on the pillow. A photograph. You pick it up with gloved fingers. It's a picture of you, younger, standing in the hallway of this very hospital, smiling stiffly beside a man in a white coat. His face is blurred intentionally, smudged by an algorithm or a shaking hand. But the boy is in the photo too, not lying in the bed, standing beside you. Hold your hand. Your heart kicks against your ribs. This isn't right, you whisper. No, a voice behind you agreed. But it's always been true. You spin. Doctor. Vale stands at the doorway, silhouetted in harsh fluorescence. She's holding the chrome eye in her palm, now removed from her socket, like a relic. We didn't just build Mimir to remember others. She says, we built it to store parts of ourselves we couldn't carry anymore. You grip the photo tighter. That boy, he isn't me. She tilts her head. Isn't he? She walks toward the wall and places the chrome sphere into a socket beneath the vitals monitor. The screen sputters to life, revealing a neural map, lines branching like fractured veins, centered around a core pulsing with static. That's a loop signature. You murmur. Someone's trapped. Not anyone, she said. Everyone. We were trying to isolate trauma, bottling it up in one temporal container to protect the rest of the consciousness, but it didn't work. Why not? Because pain leaks. You study the map. There's a blip, one node, brighter than the rest, flickering, growing, growing. That's not the boy's signal. No, she said. That's yours? Outside the room, alarms begin to ring. Distant at first, then closer, a warning or a countdown. You're not sure. You race down the corridor with Vale behind you, both of you following the signal. The lights stutter, the walls shimmer. The hospital is shifting, collapsing into its earlier iterations. The loop is folded. Then you find the door. Room 0. It shouldn't exist. No number, no windows, just cold steel. You place your hand on it and feel warm pulse through your palm like a memory trying to wake up. He's inside, you whisper. Yes, Vale replies. And so are you. You glanced back at her. What happens if I go in? You end the loop. And if I don't? She doesn't answer. She's already vanishing, fading into static, like an old broadcast losing signal. You turn the handle. The door creaks open. Hassan. Inside, the boy is sitting on the floor, hugging his knees. His eyes meet yours, and for a second, they flash chrome. He opened his mouth. Do you remember now? Chapter 17. The Memory Protocol. You hesitate in the doorway. The boy's voice hangs in the sterile air, unnatural in its stillness, not pleading, not innocent, merely curious, like he already knows the answer and is just waiting to see how long it takes you to arrive at it yourself. Do you remember now? He asked again, tilting his head. You step inside. The door seals behind you with a hiss, not a click. The room is circular, windowless, filled with the quiet hum of machines you can't see. The light here has no source. It just exists, diffused, dreamlike. There's no furniture, no fixtures, just him and you, and a silence sharp enough to draw blood. You're not a memory. You said you're a placeholder, a loop anchor. The boy shrugged. That's what they called me. But you're more than that. He smiled faintly, as if you've passed a test you didn't know you were taking. You placed me here, remember, after the collapse. You blink? The collapse. The neural purge. The Mimir initiative. The voluntary separation. You mean, I store the trauma you to protect the rest of my mind. You didn't just store it, he said. You buried it alive. The words hit like a gut punch. You stagger, clutching the side of your head as flickers begin, memories bleeding through like water through fractured glass. Screams in the lab. Wires pulled from skin. Neural storms. Veil. Crying. The failed prototype. The child's body, soulless and twitching. Overwritten with your emotional residue. Your fear. Your guilt. The boy stands slowly. His feet make no sound on the floor. You thought locking me away would end the feedback loop, he says, but you forgot something. What? He places a hand on your chest, right over your racing heart. You can't amputate part of a soul and expect it to stop bleeding. You recoil. Pain flashes down your spine. Your knees buckle. The room shifts. Suddenly, the boy is gone and you're alone. Staring into a mirror, you don't remember being there. Except the reflection isn't you. It's him. Your mouth opens, but his voice comes out. You brought this loop full circle. A whisper behind you. The failsafe. It's engaging. You turn. Veil is back. Faded. Flickering. A projected echo. He wasn't supposed to break the loop. She says, only you could do that. But you locked him away too long. He grew, learned, became autonomous. So what now? Now he tries to overwrite. Your head burns. Light floods your vision. You drop to the floor as code and memory twist around each other like vines choking a dying tree. Then silence. When your eyes open again, the room is empty. No boy. No veil. Only a mirror. and in it just you. But you know better now, because you can feel him in the back of your mind. Not a whisper, not a scream, but a presence, waiting, watching, and the loop continues. Chapter 18. The noise beneath silence. You move, but it's no longer you alone who commands the body. There's a delay now, milliseconds between thought and motion, a hesitation in your muscles, a flicker behind your eyes when you blink, a breath that catches when it should flow. The boy is still inside, and he's learning to steer. You step into the hallway beyond the mirror room. The lights are dimmer here, flickering, glitching in and out like corrupted memories. The walls sweat, not metaphorically. There's actual moisture, warm and metallic, dripping from invisible vents above. You brush it with your fingers. Blood, or something trying to remember how to be blood. You move quickly now. Each step echoes as if the building itself is hollow, or deeper than it should be, as if it's alive. Where are you going? The boy asks from inside you. To find the source. There is no source, only recursion. I need to see it. Why, you already built it. You halt. That last part wasn't remembered. It wasn't metaphor. It was truth. And it brings back the blueprints, the simulation core. The moment when you, desperate to escape the guilt of the experiment, decided not to destroy the loop, but to simulate a version of yourself that would take the blame. A mental construct, a scapegoat. You didn't lock the boy away. You created him, and now he's creating you in return. The corridor ends in a door. No handles, no access panel, no hinges, just a smooth, seamless wall, except your palm tingles when it nears it. The metal wants to recognize you, or him, either. Do you want to see it? The boy asks again, the heart of the recursion. Yes. The wall opens with a soft, hydraulic sigh. Inside the archive. Shelves made of memory. Rows of flickering scenes. Frozen in time. Some from your childhood. Some from his. Some you don't recognize at all, futures that haven't happened, or lives you never lived. And in the center, hovering, humming, pulsing, the core, a sphere of shifting color, a neural lattice, a memory engine. This is where I was born, the boy whispered. This is where you folded your guilt into code and gave me a name. What name, you ask? The core pulses once hard and the lights dim. Then he answers, you called me Echo. You fall to your knees. Of course. He wasn't your memory. He was your consequence. The core begins to fracture. Thin cracks shimmer through its surface. Something someone is trying to escape. And you realize what this all means. This isn't about guilt. It's about integration. Either you take him back in or he replaces you. Your hands reach for the core, but they're trembling because you're no longer sure whose hands they are, and the loop is collapsing. Chapter 19. The integration protocol. You touch the core, and everything stops. Not just time, but you. No breath, no blood, no heartbeat. Just a stillness that stretches outward until the concept of motion becomes a memory, then a theory, then a lie. The core draws you in, not physically, conceptually, and suddenly you are standing in a space that isn't space. White, endless, silent. Across from you yourself, but not as you are, not even as you were. A cleaning version. No scars. No tremble in the eyes. This version smiles. You ran from the worst parts of you. It says, you built me to hold them. You swallow. Echo. It nods. You called me that. I called myself correction. But it doesn't matter now. The silence deepens. And then Echo tilts his head. We're out of time. They're initiating the purge protocol. The recursion is collapsing. If we don't merge, what happens? You forget everything. And I become a ghost. A sound breaks through the silence. A heartbeat. But it's not yours. It's hers. Clara. You see her now, sitting on the rooftop. Tears mixed with rain. Holding the locket you gave her before the descent. She's still searching for you. Believing you'll come back. Still hoping. Still waiting. And you know what the cost of integration will be. If you accept Echo, really accept him, then everything he holds, all the memories, all the guilt, all the pain, comes with him. The darkness you buried, the wrong you did, no more forgetting. No more recursion, only truth. Are you ready? Echo asks. He holds out his hand, and suddenly you feel every timeline, every version of yourself that broke and bent and begged for absolution. All of them watching, all of them waiting to see if you'll finally do what they couldn't. Forgive, not the world, yourself. You take Echo's hand, and the core ignites. Pain, light, sorrow, collapse, revelation. A storm of memory rips through you. Clara's voice, the boy's scream, the first experiment, the lie you told to protect the program, the mirror room, the looping file name burned into your brain, integration protocol, X, and then calm. You open your eyes, you're in the lab again, but the mirror is gone, and your reflection is finally your own. System reset complete. A voice hums from above. Subject reintegrated. Protocol terminated. You glance around. No alarms. No recursion. Just silence. Real silence. You breathe. And this time, it's yours. Chapter 20. The one who walks away. It's over. At least, that's what they'll say in the debriefs, if anyone's left to write them. You stand at the threshold of the ruined facility. Behind you, a tomb of memory, circuitry, and ghosts. Ahead, a fractured horizon blurred by mist and morning. You survived. No, you chose to survive. But survival doesn't mean escape. The integration didn't grant you power. It granted clarity. You remember everything now. Every lie that wore a white coat, every whisper that passed for consent, every subject who blinked one last time, waiting for permission to die. You remember what the recursion loop was, hiding the core truth that broke you, then rebuilt you. It was never about the technology. It was about consequence. Footsteps crunch behind you. Clara, she doesn't say your name. She doesn't need to. The look in her eyes says it all. You're not the same, but you're still you. You hand her the locket. The clasp is cracked, but it glints in the weak sunlight. She holds it like a heartbeat. Will it hold, she asks. You glanced back, and the remains of the core chamber. Now, just twisted metal and silence. It'll hold, you said, because I won't forget again. You walk away from the lab, away from the past. But not from the weight. That stays with you, because guilt isn't a punishment, it's a reminder. You are the archive now. You carry the ghosts, not in loops, but in memory. The world outside is colder than you remember, but the air is real. The sky isn't coated. The birds don't glitch. You breathe deeply. It hurts. Good. It should. Somewhere behind you, a siren starts to wail. Some emergency system triggered by the collapse. Maybe someone else will come looking. Let them. Let them dig. Let them try to piece together the fragments of your sins. But they'll never find the truth in the data, because the truth isn't stored. It's lived. And you're finally ready to live it.